then, Dan?
Yeah, no softball. We used to go out to the fields for a bit for the last week or so, but they closed all the parks and everything, so we can't do that anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Chicago's mayor just closed the lakefront and all the big bike trails because stupid ass people are out like, let's go have a picnic. Let's go play basketball.
That's it. It was the basketball. There were just a ton of basketball players playing every day. Apparently, there was a baseball team that was practicing, so they had to shut it all down.
Yep. It's like, all right, come on, people. This is why we can't have nice things. So, yeah, I'm not expecting to go back to school again this year. I'm expecting to teach online. I'm halfway waiting to hear the you got to figure out how to teach your summer classes online announcement.
Well, let me say hi, everybody, because we're live on YouTube now.
Woohoo!
I'm Charlie. I'm the current director of First Edition, and we're going to spend the next hour chit-chatting and talking about whatever people want to talk about. I'm joined by Maggie and Dan, who is no doubt trolling me with his choice of attire.
I chose a bright shirt today. Sorry.
Don't know if you can see. I don't have my camera on, but let's turn the...
Oh, no shit.
Hang on. I got to turn my camera back on. It's turned off for some reason, but Dan couldn't possibly know that he's trolling me, but he has chosen to troll.
Are you wearing an Ohio State shirt today, Charlie?
More or less, yeah. So, so I'm wearing an Ohio shirt in scarlet and gray. Dan is wearing a Michigan shirt.
Wait. All right, I'm now gonna go change and put on one of my Illini shirts. So we have a Big Ten. So we have a Big Ten event. I'm told the Big Ten is up to 14 teams now. So
yes, the Big Ten that hasn't had 10 teams in it for 10 years.
Oh, longer than that. We had 11 when I was going to U of I. Because the logo for the Big Ten had a little 11 worked into the T.
Yeah, I remember that now. So anyway, anyone who's joining us, we're just going to talk about 1E and chit chat. And we're quarantined and have nothing better to do. So we'll probably do this again. But yeah, I'm here to take questions if there are any questions from YouTube chat or on the forums. And there's probably other places I should look, but it gets kind of overwhelming when there's too many.
So Charlie, how did we miss the Squires Rules not working with or getting overridden by Dyson Sphere Door?
Well, nobody paid attention to that line of text on that card. We did test it with Dyson Sphere Door. And originally, the Squires Rules let you do downloads because most of the dilemmas that download dilemmas are not dual and do not download dual dilemmas. So there was just a few. There was one particular chain that was like, why would you ever not do this? And essentially built a dilemma combo when the whole point of the strategy was it's random. You're not supposed to have combos.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, the text was added on Squires Rules that said you can't download dilemmas, and then we just never really looked back, and everybody just took the Dyson Sphere Doors out of their deck and stopped doing that because it was very clear what the intention was, and then nobody looked all that closely at that particular line. So it's currently being discussed how to either leave the loophole or to eliminate it, and we'll take action. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of room on either one of those cards.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, I think it's fine. Like you said, I don't know all of the cards hardly at all, but you know, if you say that most of the downloaders are of Space or Planet.
Yeah, I mean, that was the case. There was just one, I forget, Pawns of the Military downloads something, and it's like it's a nasty it's a good combo, which is, you know, fine in the game, but like the entire point of Squires Rules was to land at that spot where it's like, it's probably not going to be played in any of like the top 8 Worlds decks because it's just not better than combos, but it has enough teeth to be playable and to win, you know, lower level events, or to like if you catch somebody napping with random combos or they're expecting a particular combo and they can't rely on it. So it's not supposed to be like a tier 0.5 or like top level card. So like once you can start building combos with it, it turns into that and gets kind of gnarly. So there's a discussion going on now. It's just a mistake. You know, the proofreaders, not proofreaders, playtesters do a lot of work, and it was just, you know, the intention was obvious when we changed it on the Squires Rules during development. So it was like, all right, they don't want this to work anymore. Nobody just sat there with that fine-tooth comb and noticed it until somebody pointed it out.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that the card itself is fun. Squires Rules is fun.
Yeah, Squires Rules is a blast. It's the most, some of the most fun when I was playtesting, I was playing a TNG Borg deck with Squires Rules Dilemmas, and it was just some of the most fun I've ever had playing 1E. It was a Borg deck, so that's not a thing. If you know anything about me, that is not a thing that should be the case. But I had a good time with it, and I'm looking forward to the Squires Rules when I want to focus on deck building. You know, trying something out in the draw deck and not worry too much about the seed deck, or when my combos have gotten predictable, or I just don't want to think, you know. But really, I'm excited about it for demos. The only real wrinkle is you have to be like, all right, now that you've learned how to play the game, that's not how dilemmas usually work for people, but that's an advanced skill that you can pick up as you start playing it and once you get into it. But just being able to hand a deck to somebody and say, here's how you play it. You don't have to think about remembering the combos or keep them in a particular order or reference a list. That's huge. That's huge for just brain space, you know. But I know, like, I'm playing around with a deck I've never played before for online regional this year, and it's like, well, if I could just use Squires Rules, and well, except the online regional starts before this, but the future online tournament, I could just use Squires Rules, and I don't have to think about my dilemmas past the point where I've chosen which dilemmas to use. Just during the game, it's just shuffle, put 3 here, put 3 here, put 3 here, put 3 here, put 3 here. I don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to try to remember what's where if I want to steal missions or anything like that. It frees up massive amounts of mental energy to focus on playing the game better, I suppose. So that's why I'm excited.
Well, and that's pretty much why I like it. And the deck that I've been building over the last couple of days, I was sort of dreading going and looking up, okay, what combos are people using? Because I don't know dilemma combos anymore. And when I was a much more hardcore player of this game back in 99, 2000, I always sucked at dilemma combos anyway. So I remember. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Sorry.
All right, I was gonna say, like, I just remember sitting and shuffling through my dilemmas over and over again, thinking about what combos could I build? What goes with, learning all the dilemmas, what goes with everything. And so now it's kind of nice that at least that's as I'm relearning this game, it's something I don't have to think about. And it saves me and it gets me time to think about, okay, all right, what are my play engines? What are my free plays? What are my draw engines? Like what can I think about there instead?
Got some people in the chat, and they're talking a little bit about Squires and talking about how to do it in Lackey.
Oh,
by default, you can see your own cards even if they're face down. What we did in testing was you move them from your seed pile to like the battle bridge pile. But before you do that, you set the battle bridge pile to like invisible to all. That you, and then you drag them all over there, shuffle them, and then you pull them onto the table one at a time where you want them to be, and you never see what they are. At least I think that's how it works. But it's Brian Scheffeline, who's the director of operations, says they're working on guidelines for Lackey, and so this will be. It's not optimal for Lackey, and that is something that we think about. But the card is just so cool. On the net, it's worth having in the game, even if it's a little harder to use. Speaking of, I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen on Zoom. I've never done that before.
If you mouse over the screen, there's a big green button down at the bottom middle. It says share screen.
Share screen, right in front of me.
My
and then I click on the window.
My dad would have said if that was a snake, it would have bit you.
Okay. I don't know if this is visible on the stream now.
Tis.
You'll have to tell me. But speaking of dual dilemmas, I have a spoiler from the Neutral Zone. Here, this is card 9V. I will say there's a full page of dilemmas in the Neutral Zone. 8 of the 9 of them are dual dilemmas, and that's not a coincidence. And then they all work nicely with the Squires rules. The one that is not is very thematic for Romulans. But yes, this is a dual dilemma spoiler. Flip over to the chat. Yeah, it's on the screen. Great. This is called White Rabbit. It is a dual dilemma. Star Trek property logo. It has a picture of the White Rabbit from the Shore Leave planet. It has a countdown icon of 2. And the game text says, unless physics and archaeology present, place on mission. When countdown expires, if mission unsolved, reduce points by 10. Nullified by any pocket watch. And the lore says, time-obsessed recreation from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland encountered by Dr. McCoy caused shore leave to be delayed until such anachronisms could be explained. So, eager to see everybody's thoughts on this dilemma. This was a lot of fun during testing. It's a point drain dilemma, but it does it in a bit of a different way. It doesn't immediately cost you points. There's a time delay between when you fail this dilemma and when the points happen. And it has requirements so that you can, if you happen to have physics and archaeology on your team, when you hit this, you go right past it and nothing happens. Or if you happen to have Samuel Clemens' pocket watch, which is currently the only pocket watch in the game, you can nullify this straight away. So this is, I believe, this is a new broken link, but I believe it is the only one in the Neutral Zone. And we close at least one in the Neutral Zone as well. So people who are anti-broken links, on the net, the balance is 0, I believe. Somebody will probably point out that I'm completely wrong, but very pretty pictures.
You know, every time this dilemma gets used, I'm going to have to start singing, bunnies, bunnies, it must be bunnies.
Yes, we need more Anya in our lives. So this is a fun dilemma.
I'll not continue with the entire with her entire solo though, mostly because I don't know all the words.
I believe the nullified by any pocket watch is a Dan Hammond original. Dan didn't work as much on this set as he has on previous ones, but he would pop in every now and then and deliver an epic idea. And I'm fairly sure nullified by any pocket watch is one of his. So don't blame me for this broken link, blame Dan. Yeah, White Rabbit, 9V, coming out in the Neutral Zone, which is coming out April 3rd, so next Friday, a week from tomorrow. And legal in all formats. So This is a fun card that I really like because, like you said, if you fail it, because physics and archaeology are not the most common skills, they can turn up short. If you fail it, you have 2 turns to solve your mission before you lose the points. So it's not like a -10 point box, and it's not like the Shellyak, the old school Shellyak, where it's like, oh, I lost the points right away. There's nothing I can do about it. There's a bit of a gap. So on the face of it, its power isn't, amazing. But if it hits and you can't, if you follow this up with linguistic legerdemain or dead end or whatever, you could turn that 35-point mission with 3 or 4 mission specialists in it into a 25-point mission, which can push them to another mission, which is something the game could use a little bit of right now. So that is White Rabbit. So I'm eager to hear people's thoughts. I'm going to tab over to the chat, see. People like the picture. Fluffy dilemma and a fluffy picture. So yes. Yeah, cool. So that's really all I had prepared. I'm eager to hear what everybody else wants to talk about. There's 4 or 5 people in the chat. Nerdopolis Prime, Joshua Camper from Tennessee. Hi, Josh. Hi, Nerdo from Austria. Austin Chandler, our social media manager / 1E playtest manager, is here. Brian Sheffline's here. And Spectre 9 is here. So I believe I've got Australian, European, North Americans all hanging out, which is pretty great since a lot of us can't go outside right now. We can go outside, but you know what I mean. So I want to hear what you guys want to talk about. I could sit here and vamp for an hour, and I'm sure Maggie can keep us talking, but this is office hours, so we're here to talk to you guys about what you guys are concerned with. And kill some time. So, how's everybody going in your house, Maggie? Anybody stir crazy yet? Kids driving you batty, or everybody doing okay?
We're doing okay so far. The kids are easily amused by screens, which is probably not a good thing. I let them go to the park because nobody, doesn't seem like many other people are letting their kids go to the park. So at least that's pretty empty when they go. Then they have to wash their hands immediately upon return. I haven't been, so this week is spring break for all of us anyway, so I haven't been very hardcore on school lessons. But next week, so I've just got word that teachers have been prepping for next week, and there will be lesson plans for my son's school, so that's good. Yeah. So and I'll be back. I've been doing teaching my students through our learning management system, and doing online lectures basically through a system that's kind of like Zoom. So all the board meetings have accustomed me to speaking to people via the interwebs. So that's not that weird. But yeah, I mean, it's we're home, but we've got it better than most.
Yeah, everything's doing okay here. The Salem spring break was half of last week and all of this week, and it was like the Friday before that they canceled school. So they've technically only been on spring break part of that time, but yeah, it's essentially been like, this is spring break. Salem's kind of unique because it has at least the school district that the Loban kids go to. Melwis and Kamala, their kids, they're my roommates. It's kind of a low income district. So they're not doing online classes because tons of kids don't have computers or internet. And I know in some other places they're giving away Chromebooks and they're giving away mobile hotspots. I don't know what their plan is to do that. I don't know what the plan is going to be. Schools are canceled here till the end of April, and who knows what it's going to be like come then. I'd be surprised if they went back to school this year. All the school district here has really said is their priority is getting seniors graduated. And the libraries are all closed here, so it's not like the kids can even go to the library. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with education. But I'm sure something will happen.
Yeah, we just received a bit of the school district's plan today. And well, I'm not sure what they've said about low-income students in the district. I do know that they've been distributing breakfast and lunch via the middle school for all the kids who get free and reduced lunch. So they've been doing that for the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I didn't dive too deep into what they were going to do if for people who don't have the tech. But you know, I am in a much more upper middle class kind of town than say like Chicago public schools. So I don't know what their plans are for that. But we do definitely have, you know, a population of students who get free and reduced lunch. So yeah, I mean that's a tough thing. Yeah, that was the first thing we thought of when they started talking about going online learning for our classes at our school. Is like, okay, well that's great, but not all of our students have resources beyond, you know, I guarantee 100% of my students have smartphones, but so that was the first thing we did, was put together a survey for all of our classes and said, hey, you know, tell us about your tech. So we know what your needs are going to be. We have some Chromebooks on campus to give out, and we've been distributing those like mad, but yeah, I mean, it's tough. And I know I don't think I have any students this semester who were parents, but I often do. You know, they work, their kids are home and they're trying to finish their classes. That's rough.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully they're able to still work and do their jobs from home. I mean, I can't imagine dealing with all of this and having had to have been laid off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess I don't want to get into politics, but there's a little help coming, which is something, but it seems, Chris and Andrea both have essential jobs. They both work for the state, so they're working from home. So I have a part-time job that is also a business that's staying open because we make food. We're a bakery. So I'm going to work, but I'm the only one leaving the house, really. So if everybody gets sick, it's going to be my fault. You know, great to live with. Anyway, let's move to talk about Winnie.
So after Squires Rules, what's the next biggest thing you're looking forward to from the neutral zone?
You know, the Squires Rules is just such a beloved favorite card. It's hard for anything else to really like excite me. I mean, I really like the whole expansion. I don't want to knock it. It's good. TOS Romulans being playable. I mean, like you could sort of play TOS Romulans before. You could treaty them up and play them out of Sherman's Peak, but you know, and you could mix them with regular Romulans. But I'm excited to be able to try them on their own. Romulans have never been my favorite to play, but I do like the Creatures of Duty is a cool mechanic that I'm eager to see how it works. To sort of deal with some of the gender problems. There's another card in the set, spelled on Facebook, that does something similar for the Dominion. So I'm eager to see how those play. It's really just a cool set. There's fun stuff. Like, I think it's going to be exciting to play in the neutral zone. I'm personally looking at putting a neutral zone mission or two in every deck I play right now, just to promote a little interaction. You know, I mean, Wake of the Board got errata to lose its Rough Icon, but it's still out there, so it's not something you're probably going to want to drop your outpost to. But you know, being able to break up their space line, you know, if you run into a OS Romulan deck doing Test for Weakness with the neutral zone, they're going to have 5 missions together. And yeah, you can really put that 6th mission really far away from them, but being able to break up their space line a little bit and get up in the zone and cause them trouble is interesting to me. And there's a couple neutral zone missions that other affiliations can do, Klingons in particular. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about using that offensively, come to think of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the neutral zone card, if they're using it, it gives you a boost through your range as well. So if you do need to get through the zone, it helps you move faster. But yeah, just being able to break up their perfect strategic alignment, mess with their space line a little bit, is pretty useful. And we'll see if that takes off. In a mirror match, it's going to be crazy because all those missions are going to have 6 dilemmas under them. But so hopping over to the chat here, it looks like Josh Camper is asking, how do we think TNG Borg are fitting into the game now? It's been a few weeks since they have been released. They've been played a good amount. I haven't looked at the data recently, but they got a lot of play in the first couple of weeks past their release. People trying them out. I think they landed. Yeah, it looks like we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 decks try out the Ultimate User since these guys came out, which is pretty good.
Michael Moskop won our most recent 1E tournament with TNG Borg.
Nice. I think they landed exactly where we wanted them to be. I do not think that long-term Borg players are going to get much out of it. And they shouldn't, because it's not aimed for them. But I think, not to call you out here, my friend, but one of the players we kept thinking about when we were making these was Johnny Haliva, my buddy from San Diego, and our art director. He mentally checks out when Borg show up as his opponent. He gives up. He doesn't know what's happening. I mean, he does, but he just like, this is complicated and I don't want to deal with this. So just tell me what's happening and I'll believe you.
That's how I play the whole game.
Yeah, yes.
Zing.
Me too, more than I'd like to admit. But Johnny was one of the players who, was like, hey, I'm interested in trying these guys out, and I'm interested in maybe getting to know Borg a little better. And that was 100% the target audience. So I think there's a lot of conversation about Borg battle and how Borg are hard to play against. Sun Tzu said, know your enemy. I don't think he meant it in that way, but like if you can understand how Borg work to a degree, you don't do that mental checkout when a Borg player sits down from you, and you can sort of learn, okay, this is what they have to think about and this is what they have to deal with. I kind of understand how to play against them better. That was sort of a second order goal, and enough time has not passed for us to know whether that was successful. But I was really happy with the reception. I was really happy with how they landed. Obviously, there's going to be a couple Borg traditionalists who are really unhappy that we made TNG Borg, and it didn't fit into existing strategies. But I'm pretty happy with where they landed. And Barry Winshittle is in our chat. He was like, someone who's been semi-retired from Trek and a Borg fan, how is the 1E TNG Borg? Good assimilation tech or other fun stuff to be had? They don't do any assimilation. So TNG Borg were very much built to work like they were described in QQ, where they were this force that doesn't care about you. They only care about your technology. That's why their objectives are consume. They're not assimilating. They're consuming it. They're using it. They're the ultimate user. So that's the flavor that we went for. So that's not to say that you couldn't put some assimilation tech into TNG Borg, but it's not really geared that way. It's much more like beginner Borg. It's intro to Borg. It's, all right, so you know how to play TNG. Now we're going to use that knowledge and layer on how Borg work. That's what they were designed for, and that's where they are. So they're fun to play. They're fun to play if you want to play Borg. don't want to do all the massiness deck design that goes into it about balancing your probes and all that. It's just sort of an easy way to test your foot back into how Borg work, or just remember how Borg work. So I think, Barry, it might be good for you to try out if you want to get back into 1E a little bit, just to sort of refamiliarize yourself with the game as a big Borg fan. But if you want to play that old school Borg, play this to download this and put this guy on a table and pull out his eye and do this and assimilate everybody and go back in time and prevent Phoenix from taking off, TNG Borg aren't really going to work for you. But they weren't really designed to work for you in that case. But yeah, Austin has said, if you don't like Borg, try out TNG Borg. And I agree with that advice. If you don't like Borg, if you don't get Borg, if you just can't figure it out, if you've played TNG before, play TNG Borg. If you've never played TNG before, play them first. Build a TNG Fed deck or a TNG Ferengi deck. Play them, figure out how they work, and then try TNG Borg. Just so you can sort of figure out how it goes. Yeah, Borger Spectre 9 says, sometimes I think Borg is doing something cheaty, but it always turns out Borg can do whatever it might be. Yeah, they have a lot of tools. And that's, Spectre, you've been one of the guys who've been calling for Borg to be dealt with the loudest, and I understand that. And there's a lot of people sympathetic to you, but it's not, and I think even you would agree with this, there isn't like, this is the problem, because it's not that simple. It's very complicated, and it's something we're working on. It's one of the reasons we brought the watch list back, is so we're keeping an eye on these things and seeing what's happening and getting some input and getting some data, and we're like, all right, it's not these, so what else could it be? Or it is this, so let's take an action and then figure out, what's happening now? Because I think there was a thread about, I think the Borg Queen is the most broken one, and then like immediately diverged into like one person was talking about First Contact Queen, and then other people were like, what? No, she's not the broken queen, it's Shades of Grey Queen. And it's just like there's just no concept, no consensus around, is there a problem and what the problem is, and it makes it a monster to deal with. I mean, that's not a good thing, that's not a good situation, but you have to slowly start, untangling threads and peeling back layers and seeing what there is to be seen before you can even address it. Have you ever played Borg, Maggie, or played against Borg, or original Decipher Borg? Not.
I used to be a Borg player.
Oh.
Back long time ago. Not a good Borg player, but I played Borg.
Nice.
Occasionally.
What was your favorite Borg strategy?
Hope to God to get the queen out and go from there.
Hope to God I get the queen out and go from there. I like it.
Yeah, that I sort of remember that was pretty much it. It's been a very long time, and I still like I wouldn't mind going back to playing Borg more, but I'm still getting my feet underneath me. Oh man.
Did you mess up a promo, Maggie? Maggie's making promos.
I did. It's all, it looked like it was so nice and neat up at the top, and it's way off kilter.
Oh, it's 2E. It's not even 1E, so it's not even exciting to show.
Well, but that was the second revised Doctor that I screwed up, so ouch. Then we're down 2 full sets now. Oi. Oh, right to the heart, man.
I just commentated Maggie, just for the record. So.
Would people like to see one of the promo P sets, since this is the first edition office hours and the second edition office hours?
Sure, show off a promo or two.
All right, let's see. I was thinking, what's my favorite? You know what? I think this one's my favorite image right there. I don't know how well everybody can see it. It's a TNG logo, computer crash with the picture of Data from what the episode Data, Troy, and O'Brien were possessed by spirits on
Power
Mob
Play.
Boost from Power Play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so that I think that's my favorite from the new promo piece set, my favorite image. Although
Yeah,
I'm also excited about Cybernetics experience. Getting a nice
Is Schwartz
shot
Bar in this set, or is that the previous set?
that was the previous set, I think. There was no Quarks Bar here.
Okay. Yeah, these are all TNG promos. They're all, that's right, that's why. They're all TNG AIs of non-TNG cards. And the cybernetics expertise she showed off, it's right after they lock out the computer, so the console goes black, and Data's like, see Data's reflection in the console right before he gets ticked and smashes it. It's such a cool shot. Good job to Patty and his creative team, and then Johnny and his art team for making that happen. So.
Yeah, it looks very, very good.
So Spectre 9, going back to Borg briefly, Spectre 9 said, I think I like the ongoing discussion. I think the metagame is still evolving, and I think that's very true. People are still reacting. Awareness of this deck is going up. We'll see as regionals get played. There aren't a ton of one-year regionals this year, but I'm sure one or two people will be playing that deck in the online regional. I'm sure Kevin or someone in his group or Chris or someone in Minnesota will play it. And I don't want everybody to play it, and I don't want everybody to have a bad time playing against it, but the more people who play it and play against it, the more we understand it. So there's some value in having the deck played. I know that's a potentially frustrating experience. I would encourage everybody to just remember why we're playing this game. And excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yeah, and it doesn't help that states have lockdowns and shelter in places for regional season this year. So that's adding to the madness. But
yeah, I'm
I think
hoping I already had to postpone my regional, but I'm hoping that things will be clear by mid-May. I decided to do it all in one day, have a party at my house because it's the weekend before my 40th birthday.
Well, happy early birthday. Yeah. We have one scheduled here in Salem for Memorial Day weekend. Who knows what the situation will be then. You hope that it'll be better. And as long as people aren't sick, they aren't traveling. The people can travel if they're not sick, but who knows? We'll see. There's just too much we don't know. And if 2020 has a big asterisk next to its regional and competitive play season, then that's just what it has.
Well, they've already postponed the Olympics.
Yeah. Nerdo asks, are all 1E promos in foil, or is it a crazy mess like in 2E without a list of what is and what is not in foil? I think two things. All the promos in 1E are foil except maybe one set. And I'm pretty sure if you look on the actual promo card page itself, it tells you whether it was foiled or not. I might be wrong on that. But yeah. They've all been foiled for a while now. Hey, we have a fellow Salemite here. Hi, Daniel. Daniel Fugate? He says, coronavirus blows. I live in Salem as well. Well, welcome to the chat. Daniel, we should PM me on the board some Midnight Lich, and maybe we can connect when all this craziness is over and play some money. So, I've been working on a deck for Andrea because Andrea hasn't played first edition in 15 years, long time. She said more. She yelled at me from the other room. More. But I'm working on a deck for her. I've been waiting for the Squires Rules to come out for her deck. So, so that's getting worked on right now. All right, I'm scanning for more questions. Bring up topics. Let's hear what you want to hear about. And if you'd like to join us, the Zoom call is open. So I believe you can just join. Instructions are posted on the 1E forums in this thread for office hours. If you'd like to join the call and join the discussion, you're entitled to do that. Otherwise, I'm happy. Hang on, I'm getting a desk glare from Andrea.
I stopped playing 1E when 2E came out.
Andrea says she stopped playing 1E when 2E came out. So 2002.
That's when I stopped playing. That's when I stopped playing 1E. It took me 15 years to come back.
All right, KG Karini has any thoughts about making Star Trek CCG more friendly for 3 or 4 player games? I have thoughts. It's not easy. Like, the game is just fundamentally structured around 1v1. One of the smarter things they did when they moved into 2E was they worded cards, you know, for each opponent, or they worded things to work for, you know, many versus many, however you phrase it. There's a lot of player created variants out there that I've seen over the years. I think my favorite is the
wheel.
The Wheel of Death. Yes. So you build a circle with your missions. So basically, if you're playing a 4-player game, you sit around a square table and each person has a corner, and you build a wheel of missions. You know, you take turns seating, and it's a looping space line. So there's no space. I mean, there has to be a space line end mechanically. So you decide, like, here's the end, but you can just move from one end to the other, just in a big wheel of death. I've also seen the spoke style, where you have a central point and everybody comes out like spokes on a hub, and you can just cross through the central point to any other spoke. The fun thing about the Wheel of Death is that it has no actual spaceline end for self-controlling dilemmas, so they just keep looping around the spaceline. As Spectre says, Borg ship just goes round and round and round and round and round. Eats people all day. I will say this: it's fun, and there's ways to do it. I think it's, just being perfectly honest, it's at the bottom end of my priority list for the game. There are some bigger challenges and some stability issues that I really would need to tackle. I have to tackle some game speed issues, but it's not a no. It's not a we're never going to do it. It's more of a, is the game in a good place, and does somebody want to step up and work on it? And right now, the answer to both of those questions is no. But I encourage. I want people to play the game. I want the players to play however you want. So if you have a variant out there for multiplayer play, post it on our forums. Post the rules, post the documents you have. If you're looking for variants for multiplayer play, ask about them. Let's get that information out there. If there's one that if there's one out there already and we can all sort of like line up behind it, is like, this is awesome, we should do this, then I would absolutely be in favor of adopting it, bringing it on to be a formal multiplayer tool. But in terms of spending time and energy from the department doing it, that's years and years away. So if this is something you're important about, I don't want to discourage you, but if it's KG Carini, if it's something you really care about, work on it and post it and have people pick, offer suggestions and play test it, and then maybe it'll be that's the answer, and then we'll just run with it. It is something that we do keep in the back of our minds, but the official language of 1E is always just like your opponent. It's not choose an opponent, it's your opponent. And I know like 10 years ago we talked about changing that, and it just didn't. And inertia is a pain in the butt to overcome. Let's see. Cafe des Artistes nerf. So Spectre must have said this earlier and I missed it. Scrolling. I think Cafe d'Artiste is a bit broken. How do you think it could be nerfed? Well, we did put it on the watch list, so there's concern that it's probably a little good. My general feeling, and several other people share this belief, is that the number of cards you can play in a turn is a problem fueled almost entirely by the number of cards you can draw. Because being able to play 6 people a turn doesn't mean you can't get 6 cards into your hand in a turn, 6 or 7 or however many. Probably the biggest offender in this regard is Handshake, but that's been around for a long time. But Cafe and Study Divergent History are cards that were well-intentioned, but didn't end up narrow enough. And when you started having decks splash Study Divergent History that didn't have anything to do with the Mirror Quadrant, that was a problem. Café des Artistes it does require an investment of people. In terms of how it could be nerfed, the obvious answer is lower the number of times a turn you can use it. Right now it's 3. You could dial it back to 2. You could dial it back to 1. It could be more limited on where it could play. If you had to play it on a ship, for example, now you've got to tie up a ship with people on it. It makes the ship riskier. You could change it to an end of turn draw. You could up the cost where it's not stopping the personnel, it's putting them beneath your deck or returning them to hand or something. There are a lot of ways to up the cost. I suspect the answer will be simpler, and it will probably go from 3 to 2 would be my first guess. That would need to be play tested. We're still watching it. But I think the idea, I'm not sure going from 3 to 2 would do enough to it, and I'm worried that anything more would do too much to it. If you put a gun to my head and said change something else, I think I would make it play on your ship with the holodeck, so you can't put a holodeck door on your outpost and start using it on your outpost. It has to be on a ship that's more vulnerable. That would be my initial impression.
Oh man, you mean I can't play it on Schwartz Bar anymore? I've borrowed Lucas's Deep Space Polyamory deck.
I love that deck.
Which it's so much fun to play. It's like everything I always wanted in a deck. And I took his build and I put in Let Me Help and Gender Dilemmas.
Mm-hmm.
So now my opponent is also forced into the makeout session. But
just deep space orgies. Everybody's making out with everybody else. Young, old,
but
years, hound ears.
The number of draws that deck has is absolute insanity. I've never played a game where I didn't draw out my draw deck. So it's pretty nutty how many draws you can generate with a Deep Space Nine deck.
Did I tell you my worst mistake I ever made in a game in the last year? There were Continentals in Atlanta last year. I was not doing super well. I was playing a Lucas deck. It was a super fast TNG, just like go solve missions. And I wasn't doing super well. And I played Lucas, and I was like in my head, and I screwed up, and I played Isomagnetic Disintegrator, which shuffles your discard pile, turns it into your deck, and discards your deck. And my thought was, I had cards left in my deck, and I needed a ship is what I needed. So my thought was, I'll do this, and then I'll use Nanoprobe Recitation to get the ship back. But in my head, I was like, this is like 2E Souls of the Dead, where I can just get any card I want out of my discard pile. But no, it's the specific top card. So I tried to get the ship, and he's like, yeah, you can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can't do that. And then I drew the rest of my deck to get my other Isomag back, or my Regenerate back. And he solved the mission, flew home, and drew out his deck. And then he beat me full win because neither of us had a deck left.
Oh no.
My boneheaded mistake cost me that game. He may have won anyway, but I specifically lost because I made a stupid error. But that's how you learn. You screw up, and then you don't screw up that way again. Hopefully.
Yeah, I've had more games than I care to admit where I've made little stupid errors like that. Like, I forgot to bring X mission skill with me on my last attempt. Time has been called. I've got this mission. I'm good. And then I forgot to bring transporters with me.
Yeah.
And that was that's 2E, because when you fail a mission attempt, all your personnel are stopped in 2E, and so if you forget to bring that critical mission skill, it's much worse in second edition than it is in first edition, because then first edition you just look and say, oh, look at me, silly person, I forgot to bring transporter skill.
As long as they don't have mission debriefing out, yeah.
Yes, as long as they don't have mission debriefing out.
But that was the game where, like, John Carter, PFTI, is one of the best players in the world. He and I were neck and neck in our game, and I was really proud of it. And I went to go for my last mission, and I had a 50-50 shot to get through medical crisis, and he picked the person he needed to pick. And that happens to me all the time. I'm like, cool, I have 3 people, don't pick this one. They always pick, and I don't even say that out loud because it's an instant jinx if you say it out loud, but then they always do it to me. So it's like, cool, I lost by 1 turn because RNG just hates me. So
yeah. Well, welcome to the life of having Casey Wickham in your play group. That dude has phenomenal random selection luck. Like I've never met anybody who has the kind of luck that he does. He always manages to pick that one person. He also combines it with being an extraordinary skill tracker. Like
I've never been good at that.
He's if I don't know, have you ever played against Matt Freed before?
No, I never had the privilege.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Matt Freed is probably the first ranked skill tracker that I have ever met. Like he can tell you everything that's in your deck, and he just knows it. And Casey's like just right behind him in terms of skill tracking. So yeah, crazy. That cat is crazy good.
Ember just said that Casey is the Illinois version of Michael, so that puts it in context for me, because yeah. Daniel Fugate. I'm going to go with Fugate because it's much more interesting. Daniel Fugate says, thank you, continuing committee, for everything you guys do. It's not easy, and you all freaking rock. Thank you so very much. I appreciate the compliment, and I am sure everybody who works on 1E and the entire CC would also share my appreciation. Thank you for thanking us. We're doing this because we care. We are not perfect. No one ever said we were, but we are doing our best. So. Overall, I'm really happy with where 1E is. Need to work on a few things, couple of issues bigger than most, but even the issues that 1E is facing now are nothing compared to the issues that 1E has faced in the past. When you can lose the game after seeding. I seeded, all right, great, I lost before I took a turn. That's not ever good. That doesn't happen. Amber wants to know if we're getting Zindi. It's not on my 5-year plan, but it is on my 10-year plan. I'll say that. We learned some good lessons doing Vulcan, and some subtle decisions have been made over the years to enable Zindi to exist. But I do not have a specific plan in mind to implement them in the short term. But in the longer term, all right, I'm going to do a last call for questions.
I have a question. Do you want to live? Oh, go ahead.
No, please go. I got one from Spectre, but I'll take yours first. So.
Okay. Do you want to live stream a game on release day? I got nothing but time.
I have heard. I'm waiting to hear from Marcus.
Marcus, yes.
When the plugin will be ready. If the plugin will be ready for us to have that set up, then yes. If not, then we may have to do a game like the week after. But
well, I was going to suggest we could use the Lackey playtest file.
well, yeah, but it'd be much more fun with the actual card images.
That is true. So tell Marcus not to bust his bits and pieces over that for sure. But I know Patty's holding a one-day regional on the 10th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the online regional starts I think the 6th, so it's not starting before Nutrizone would be legal, which is unfortunate, but that's just sort of the way the chips fell. KG Carcini wants to know about the Krenim. I have a thought about the Krenim as well. There'd be a lot of fun, man, to put together a deck that can like rewrite the game as it's going. Kind of mind melty, but what the heck? So my off the cuff idea is I haven't really fleshed it out, but you get a card. You get a marker card that basically says the timeline shifting, and you might have one for your deck and you might have one for your opponent's deck, but then and it would be like in a different sleeve, so you see where it is in your deck, and when it comes up, the game changes. Like something happens based on what configuration of things you have in play somehow. I have no idea how to implement this, and I have no idea how. But the idea is like, okay, it's this card gets shuffled into a deck, and that represents doing calculations. So like, and then the Krenim mechanically would have lots of deck cycling. So they would be throughputting through their deck a lot just to get that card to come up more often. So like, it shuffles into your deck, and that represents you doing the temporal calculations. And then when it shows up, based on what the current spaceline configuration is and how many cards are in the deck and all these other variables, it changes the game in some way. So maybe one thought was like you swap decks with your opponents, or like it completely redefines what affiliations are, or it just rearranges the spaceline. Just madness. I haven't figured out how to do it, but that's my in my head idea for how the Krenim would work. And there are much smarter people than me who work on Winnie. So when the time comes to sit down and make Krenim stuff, hopefully we'll crack it. Then Spectre 9 wants my perspective on TOS feds. TOS feds. I think they're still a bit too quick even without communicator. Well, my immediate thoughts are, as Michael showed from New York Masters, losing 5-year mission didn't break the loophole, which we knew. The problem is, even if we tightly restrict 5-year mission and bring it back, Michael's deck basically works exactly the same. You just get rid of the Outpost and the Final Frontier and play Sherman's Peak and protect the timeline. It's essentially the same deck. So there are bigger problems with OS. It's not as obvious how to fix it. I think 5-year mission comes back with cultural enforcement. Close the loophole there. So if you want that card draw, you lose access to Riker and Guinan and all those people. I think the Final Frontier is better than it should be. And the only thing I can say there is we messed up. You know, we were afraid that OS was not where we wanted it, and we tweaked it, and we had feedback that said it was at the where we wanted it, and then it came out and it was like, oh, that's way better than we wanted it. So there's a couple dials on there you can switch. You can take off the ship download. You can turn the ship download into an action, so it's not there at the start of the turn. You can limit it to a universal ship, so you can't grab the Enterprise. You can change the free plays, so it's like one universal, one unique. There's some options there, but I think that the solution to TOS, the biggest solution to TOS is some more cultural enforcement, so that if you want to play with all these toys, you're limited. You can't splash in Riker and Future Enterprise and Guinan and all, and Sergei and Helena and all those other things. The other big issue with TOS is the power of special downloading. Communicator was a big piece of that because it's doubling a skill you need right when you need it. So fixing that will help. Are they still too fast? I don't know that we've seen enough results yet to know. And the results that we have seen, like I said, from Michael Van Bremen's deck in New York City is kind of, I don't want to say tainted. It's not tainted, but it wasn't an OS deck. He was doing all of the off property shenanigans that we need to break. Once we break those, I think we can get a better picture of what their game speed issue is. But it's a complicated piece. Like, special downloads are potentially a problem. Dial skill is potentially a problem. And, you know, they have McCoy and Uhura, which are bananas cards. So there's a lot of things to look at there. And I think I'm curious to see how OS Romulans do. They're going to be fun with Final Frontier and hopefully a revised 5-year mission. And they can hang with the Fed ships, and that might make it pretty dangerous to be an OS Fed player. It might not be, and Klingons are going to be coming. We took Klingons to testers this week, and they have some cool stuff coming if it gets through testing. So I'm very much curious to see how they play if you break the Admiral Riker Future Enterprises-ness of it. I think that is overshadowing so much about where they actually are. It's hard to get a clean picture. So Daniel Fugate wants to know if we offer or can recommend where older players coming back to the game can get tutorials on how to play 1E or 2E. That is a seriously lacking element of our organization that we are working on. For 2E, there was recently a series of articles by Lucas Thompson where he posted demo decks and had an article for each of them that sort of explained how to play them and how they work. I would start there. For 1E, I would start with Call to Arms TNG starters.
Coming of age.
They're coming of age. Sorry, thank you. Coming of age TNG starters. They're rebalanced. They play really well against each other, and they're sort of 1E baseline. So they all come with dilemma combos you can use, and they're just sort of like play some guys, draw some cards to get you to play the game and learn the fundamentals, and then you can sort of roll into using the more powerful TNG cards, or pull out all the dilemmas and print some dual dilemmas and use Squires Rules to mix it up some too. But it's just, there's been a lot of, we've tried and failed to launch like a YouTube video series over the years. I do think Lucas has one for 2E.
Yeah, he has one for 2nd edition.
But it's
that's linked from that's linked from the CC site.
Yeah, we keep having lots of people who want to work on it, and then it comes time to do it, and it always kind of falls apart. But yeah, as Spectre just said, if you read through the rule book, especially now that it's sort of cleaned up and modern, and you have somebody in your area who knows how to play, who can play your first game with you, that's really the best way to learn. But the thing about 1E in particular is 80% of the rules you do not need 80% of the time, probably. You need to know the fundamentals. This is how you seed. This is how dilemmas work. This is how you report people. This is how you fly. This is how you attempt missions. Most of the other stuff you don't need to know until way later in the game. You don't need to know about Borg. You don't need to know about capture. You don't need to know about infiltrators. You don't need to know about quadrants. Just keep it simple, which is why I recommend starting with TNG, because it strips most of that away, and it's just learn how to get people into play, learn how seeding works, learn how the space line works. But it's a deficiency that we have that we are actively looking to address. So if anybody out there is listening, especially now that we're, potentially facing some free time, and something about editing video and putting together YouTube videos, then perhaps that could be take advantage of your skills. So contact me, Midnight Lich on the forums. So I've enjoyed hanging out with you, Maggie. Thank you. And we had
Nice
10
talking
people in
with
the
you, Charlie.
chat. 10 people in the chat at one point. So that was pretty awesome. I haven't done one of these in a while, but we've got nothing but time on our hands. So I'm probably going to do what I did last time, and I'll post up a little doodle poll. Be like, when do you want me to do one of these next time? And I'll schedule it at the time when the most people can be there. So let's make this a weekly thing for now. How about that? So check for a doodle poll tomorrow. Well, I was kicking myself because I scheduled this on Thursday, thinking that give me the most time so I could, advertise it more, and then not even remembering that the finale of Picard was on tonight. So Chris finished work at 4:30, and we turned on Picard and watched it before we recorded. So I had like 30 minutes to scarf down dinner and come on to my recording. But Picard season 1 is done, so I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, I'm going to post up a poll, and we'll do another one of these next week and see where we go from there. But thank you, Maggie. Thank you, everybody who Dan was here briefly. Thanks, everybody who participated in the chat. If I missed a question, I apologize. Send me a PM or post it on the thread on the forums. And I'm going to put my spoiler back up briefly. Should have done that while we were saying goodbye. But, take another look at White Rabbit before we go. From the Neutral Zone, which is releasing Friday, April 3rd, and legal in all formats where virtual cards are legal, April 10th.
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small. But the ones that mother gives you don't
Nice.
do much at all. The White Rabbit. Yeah. All right, moving on.
All righty.
I think that's
Well,
I think it's time to go now.
I think it's time to go now. Thank you all for joining us. I had a wonderful time chatting with you, and we'll do this again soon. Stay safe and wash your hands, everyone, and expand your power in the universe. Good night. Once I remember how to stop recording. End meeting. Nope, I don't want to end meeting. I want to stop streaming.